Welcome everyone. I'm so glad you're here. Before we talk about vision planning, manifestation, or anything that has to do with the future, let's take a deep breath and just be here in this present moment. You're invited to just arrive fully in this moment. There's nothing to fix right now, nothing to change, and just breathe and just be. This is not a space where we're going to try to become someone new. This is actually the space where you're going to align and remember who you already are and what you came to do. Let's get started.
Welcome to the 2026 Quantum Vision Board Party. We're really glad that you're here. Take a moment to get comfortable, settle in, take a breath, and make this space your own. There's nothing you need to prepare and nothing you need to get right, just be present. And now it's my pleasure to welcome your hosts, CEO Joeaux Robey and President Kayla Winter.
I'm Joeaux Robey, CEO of Soulopreneur. And for years, I've had this innate ability to zoom out to 30,000 feet, get a vision, zoom back in, and make it happen. My work has always been about helping others see beyond their limitations and step into what I believe is everything is possible. In fact, it's a philosophy that I have taught, and it's how I lead, it's how I create, it's how I build businesses. It's basically who I am.
Hey everybody, I'm Kayla, and as the president of Soulopreneur, I get the unique opportunity to create programs and processes that help people like you align with your highest self every day. The coolest thing about the work I get to do is that it's not just theoretical. I actually put it into practice. It's how I've built my life, it's how I live my life, it's how I lead, and it's what I'm going to teach you about tonight with Joy's help. Today, I'm going to go over with you the importance of creating a vision, whether it's a board, through a journal, through your home, that makes you feel calm, steady, and aligned with that future version of you who's already achieved everything on the board. It's about stepping into energetic and emotional, spiritual alignment with the version of yourself who's already achieved everything that's a part of your divine purpose, a part of your vision, and starting to show up as that person today. If your vision board makes you feel like you're behind, like you don't have enough time to get everything done, throw it away. Just scrap it, throw it away. Don't even try to save pictures off of it.
At some point, each one of us were taught what was realistic, allowed, or what we were capable of doing. And those teachings often came from people who absolutely loved us or were stepping into what they believed was true, but they were also projecting their own fears and disbelief onto us. And that became part of who we are today. But you don't have to remain there. You can absolutely shift that. So I want to ask you right now, who was it that taught you what was possible? And do you really want to live in that framework? You know, one of my favorite questions is, how's that working out for you? So I learned this in multiple steps slowly. I learned this after I had lost a home that I loved, that my ex-husband and I had lovingly restored, and we ended up losing it. And then within 2 years, I quickly manifested an even better house. Yeah, and I didn't even realize it. And then after I got a divorce from that same husband years later, I manifested the most beautiful relationship with the most beautiful man. And that's when it really locked in for me, because as I watched people go around with their lists, literally written down, of what they wanted in a relationship, what they wanted in a job, and they were so locked in on what it was, I realized that when I met my husband now, I basically just said, I want to have fun. Like, I knew what I didn't want, and I wasn't focused on what I didn't want. Instead, I leaned into the feeling of, I just want to have fun. And I ended up manifesting the most amazing relationship. And I'm, going to brag a little bit here, but other people literally look at us and say, how did you guys get this? And I really believe it was because we believed, both of us, approaching it completely different, that everything was possible, and that there was really only one thing that was an absolute, that was a non-negotiable, and that was that we wanted to have fun.
Okay, so real talk. There is nothing wrong with a traditional vision board, but it's not really about the words that you put on it or the photos that you choose. It's about the energetic alignment to the emotional state that you feel when you look at that vision. Tonight, I'd really like to help you make the shift from simply cutting out pictures and truly aligning with the vision that you hold and creating something, whether it is a poster board with photos or a journal like Joy uses, or a whole wall of your house, or maybe you create a piece of art or music or something that you're called to create that reminds you, when you look at it, of the feeling that you've already achieved the vision. And the vision, it could be something that's 3 months away. It could be something that you hope to achieve by the end of this year. It could be about the divine purpose that you feel called to, the one that you believe you're here to do in this lifetime. So think big. Think, what is my vision? And how do I create something that helps me to align emotionally, energetically, spiritually with it every time I look at it? Also, think about, who am I allowing myself to step into when I look at this fill in the blank of what I've created that shows my vision. I started with vision boards years ago. I would get a poster board. I would cut out magazines, collages. I'd have friends over after school. We'd make these grand landscapes of what we're drawing to ourselves. And this was before I really knew what a vision board was. I'm sure you've made collages. It's a popular pastime of most high schoolers I know. However, as an adult, I started thinking about them differently, and I started looking into the psychology and the spiritual aspects of vision boards. One of the things I learned early on about your typical vision board is placement in your home matters. And when I thought about that and allowed that to really sink in, I was like, oh, so what I know to be true is that if I hang my vision board high where I have to look up at it, subconsciously, I equate that vision board to something that's worthy of achieving. I've done so many mindset and spiritual alignment things like this in the past, where I will put a little snippet of my vision on my bathroom mirror. So when I'm brushing my teeth, I can look up at it. And that movement of lifting your head to look up at it tells your subconscious, this is worthy of achieving. So when I realized that, and I realized how true that is, I started thinking, why does that have to be a board? Why can't it just be my home? So I would say 5 years ago, I started going to thrift stores. I'm a maximalist, if you can't tell. I would go to thrift stores and I would buy frames that I could put prints that I purchased or photos that I found of different places and experiences that a future version of me had already achieved. And I actually decorated my home with those so that every time I looked at my vision, it was my home. I lived in it. And my husband and I, when we first met 17 years ago, we had a long conversation about how one day we'll have a home that, as we travel the world, we can send all of our treasures back home to, and we'll have a library full of the books we've created and a garden full of our favorite seeds. And I just thought 5 years ago, in a rental house, why do I have to wait? Why can't I start creating the way that space feels now? And just add my vision and even little trinkets and little statues or things that I found that helped me to align. The other really important thing was that I added miniature reminders, whether it was a photo or a crystal that I had purchased at a museum in another state that we traveled to, of things I had already accomplished. So moments that brought me to the center and helped me align with that feeling of accomplishment and just love. I went ahead and added those in to the spaces that I created, so that when I looked at the other things in that space, the photos, the trinkets of the Eiffel Tower, for example, it was really easy for me to look at something I've already achieved and look at something I am aligning with and move that energetic feeling from one thing to the other really seamlessly. So now we bought our first home about a year and a half ago. After we took 2 years before my son started school, we work remotely to travel the world and to experience things. And when we bought this house and we were unpacking, I found those older items that I had on my vision board, my vision wall. Actually, it was shelves with, photos and trinkets and things hanging up. And it just really sunk in that this home and all the little treasures that we got on our world travels, that's what I was dreaming of. A past version of me was dreaming of this moment. And so now the way that I've decorated my home is a vision of who I am right now and how that aligns with my highest and best self. While the aesthetic of it is a little different, I've actually just expanded it through the entire house. For example, my kitchen is, some people think it's a little kooky, but it's pink and purple and blue and yellow, and I decorate it with Hello Kitty kitchen things like a cookie jar or a jar that holds our cooking utensils. That reminds me to think, when I do things, how does little me feel about this? Am I making little me proud? It helps me to really connect with my inner child. And then you go into my dining room, and that is a room that is reflective of one of our favorite places we've ever lived, which is the Southwest of America. We have all of our favorite photos from the desert, and we have all of our favorite little crystals and things that we found from those times. And we feel so cozy and at home in our desert dining room, even though we are not in the desert anymore. And this wall full of mirrors actually helps me to think about all the different possibilities. When I look at each one of these mirrors, they're still reflecting the same thing, but from a slightly different perspective. So while this may seem like a hallway full of mirrors to anybody else, and anybody else that comes to my home, for me, it is a visual reminder that my choices set the pace for the timeline that I'm in. The only real thing that I have power over is my choice, and each one of these mirrors symbolically is a different choice or pathway that I get to align with. So, in a sense, this is a vision wall for me of a reminder that I get to choose what I align with. So, long story short, thank you for listening. Make your surroundings feel good. You may not be a maximalist. You may be a minimalist. You may be somewhere in between. But your outward, the space that you create around you is actually a reflection of how you feel about yourself. And it took me a long time to realize that, but I think that home the rental home 5 years ago, really helped me to connect and feel so deeply that truth. You can have a journal like Joy does. You can create a vision board like I've done in the past, like so many people do. You could even create a miniature vision board make a vision board, take a photo of it, now you have a photo. Or make a vision board in the front of your planner. Or make one that if you commute back and forth to work, you can put above your mirror in your car, the sun visor mirror, and pull it down before you go into work and when you come out of work. Maybe the job you have right now is not the job that future you has when they are fully aligned with their vision. However, you can use this time going into work and coming home from work to really tap into the feeling and energy of your future best self in this moment. And that's the power. It's bringing it into this moment, not thinking it's far off and something that you can't achieve. because you can use your choices and your actions and your thoughts to create those feelings right now.
We're often taught that belief comes after proof. And in my experience, that is absolutely not true. And I don't think I'm the only one. I think it was Wayne Dyer who said, "I'll see it when I believe it." And that's really how it works, is as soon as you believe it, you've made it your creation. And you don't need to absolutely believe that. You just want to repeat it. You want that to be your new default. You want that to be your habit, and you repeat it over and over again until it does start to become true. You don't need to know how something will happen to believe it. Again, you just want to lean in to the ultimate feeling of what you want. And I don't care what it is. It could be health, it can be money, it can be relationships, it can be your career. It literally can be anything. I mean, think about it. We put a man on the moon. Somebody had to believe that first. So for me, I had a really awesome example of this just a few days ago when I was at a wellness retreat. And you can check out the whole story on my LinkedIn page. I was at a wellness retreat, and one of the things that you could do at the wellness retreat was a polar plunge. Now, I am terrified of cold water. I hate it. I hate it. And I thought, I'm going to do this. Okay, did I want to do it? No. Was I ready to do it? Absolutely not. But I decided that it was a fear that I no longer wanted to carry around. And I had the opportunity to do it in a group, and it felt so much easier and supportive to be able to do it in that setting. And here's what I learned about it. It wasn't the cold that got to me. It was all of the noise happening between my ears right before I stepped into the cold. I mean, I had been instructed, I knew how to breathe when I got into the water. That would literally create warmth around my body, and I would be able to stay in the maximum up to 5 minutes. Now, this water was 33 degrees cold. It was literally ice water. And what I noticed was it was the first 30 seconds. It was the 5 minutes before and the first 30 seconds that were absolutely terrifying. But once, like, something clicks, and I don't know the physiology behind it, but I'm sure some therapists could explain it. But something clicks once your body realizes that you're in charge and you've actually chosen this. I chose to get in the water. I was staying in. I wasn't running back out. And I started to breathe into it, and it just became who I was again. But the action came. I stepped into the water before I knew what was going to happen and before I even believed that I could. It was just sort of mind over matter, and I did it. So people call me a visionary. Whenever I take the tests, I always come out really strong as a visionary. And I love creating. I don't care if it's a new business, if it's a piece of art, if it's remodeling my home. I love the act of creating. And for many years, I used vision boards, where you cut everything out, as we've talked about, and you put it on a board, and I'd make a beautiful piece of art. And that eventually shifted into using a paper-based vision planner, and the one that I still use today, I love, called Dragon Tree Journal. It allows me to kind of brain dump everything that I think I want to achieve. And it could be in 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10-year increments. And people are always asking me, Joy, how do you get so much done? I think it's because I write it down. Now, does it all happen in 1 year? No. Or 3 years or 10 years? No. Sometimes the 1 year moves to the 10 year. Sometimes it falls off my list altogether because I realize I didn't really want to do it. And sometimes the 10 year pops up into the 1 year. But the point that I want to make here is that instead of planning from pressure, I plan from identity. I plan from who do I think I am? And I have like a pretty big picture of what I want to achieve and who I think I am. So I guess the point that I want to make here is that instead of chasing goals, I move from the version of who I can see myself being, and I step into that because it's almost like there's two of me, right? There's me in this human body, and then there's the bigger me. And the bigger me is always sort of guiding me through. And the more I have trusted the bigger me, and the more I've learned the feeling of what the achievement is through that bigger me, the more I'm able to achieve. And I think it's just because I get really clear on where I'm going. And I don't focus on what I don't want. I learned that a long time ago. Like, recognize what you don't want and then pivot and lean into the feeling of what you want.
Okay, now I'm going to take you into my office where I've created a vision board wall. I sit in my desk over here and I get to look at this wall every day. I take moments to look outside, to look up at the trees, and I also take time to look at my vision board wall. That's my messy closet. Don't look in there. This vision board wall has some of my favorite photos, reminders of moments that really light me up, like myself and my son. And it has little trinket boxes of both things that I've purchased that fit in here, and as also things that my highest and best self aligns with. I also have phrases like, funny how it all falls right into my lap, and step into your power, and the universe doesn't want you to try harder, it wants you to trust more. So when I'm at my desk and I'm creating products and services for you, for our clients, I'm looking over at my vision board wall. And while this doesn't have any locations or things that I aspire to bring into my life, it has reminders of the feeling of my highest and best self when I'm in alignment. One thing to remember when your home is your vision board is the thought, does this space reflect my highest and best self? Because remember, your environment teaches your nervous system what's normal. And if your environment is full of things that remind you of that feeling, the energetic, emotional, spiritual connection to your vision, then it's doing its job.
Okay, I want to say this very clearly, and hopefully I don't offend anybody, because I am one of those people that believe that we are here to have an impact. Now, what that impact looks for you may be different than what it looks for me. But I do not think there's anything wrong with wanting to play bigger. In fact, I believe that Spirit wants you to play bigger. Because when you're playing bigger and you're stepping into all that you are, you become a resource. Like, you can actually be resourced for other people, to be a model for what can be, to teach, to facilitate, to act, to get things done. So I think that desire and wanting is just good information. I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. What I will say, though, is that it is so important. If I could emphasize anything, the key is gratitude. Gratitude for the good and gratitude for the bad, in a way that you're always, whenever something happens that you didn't actually want, you're always repositioning it to be good feedback. Thank you for that information.
So now I actually want to share a moment that changed how I understand vision. And this was in a time, that exact time when I stopped making vision boards. I had gone on Ancestry and I had found reference to my British lineage, and the home, like think Downton Abbey type home that people live in today in England, of course, but it's in Kent, England, and it's this beautiful home. And I wanted to just go see it. Not because it's my ancestral home place or anything, but because how cool is that to know that someone in my lineage lived in there, was a part of it somehow. And I had printed that photo and I was cutting it out to put on my vision board. And I was on a call, an impromptu call with one of my clients who lives in England. And as I was cutting that picture out, she said, I know it's a long shot, but I'm getting married at the end of December, beginning of January, and I really want you to come. I had that photo in my hand. I didn't even have a chance to put it on my vision board. I just aligned with the feeling that I felt standing in the gravel of that driveway and viewing this building. It wasn't about the building. It was about that feeling. And when she said, I really want you to come, I know it's a long shot, I said, yes, of course. And I didn't put the photo on my vision board because I don't think it was about that house. In fact, when we were in England, we didn't even go to that house. It was about a sign that I create my reality. That experience showed me something really important. When your vision is embodied, when you feel it, life collaborates with you. It showed me that we don't always have to chase a vision. It's okay to just allow my vision to align with me. And sometimes it'll shock the heck out of you when it does.
Possibility becomes super powerful when you realize it's a choice. The key is to be decisive. I watch so many people afraid to make a decision because they think it's going to be the wrong decision. What if it's the right decision? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You're going to learn something from it. The key is, in this program tonight, it's not about us guaranteeing outcomes for you, because first of all, you cannot create for other people. You can only create for yourself. And it does have a ripple effect, however, because once you start creating, and to me that's manifesting, is you start generating all kinds of possibilities, and possibilities are choice. So it's not about choosing what you're willing to believe is possible for you here. It's about leaning into the feeling of who you want to be and what that looks like. Leadership is all about decision making. Leaders have to constantly make quick decisions. And the more you do it, the better you get at it, because the less afraid you are of making the wrong decision. If you talk to anybody who is successful in any area of life that you want to be successful in, or that you want to, let's just, repurpose that word to manifest, you'll find that they learned a lot getting to that place. And I believe that when you have the courage to just start making decisions, you're basically just eliminating options and leaning into the things that you believe are the things that are for your highest good. And when you start trusting that intuition, it becomes easier and easier. And that's when people make success or manifesting look easy, because they've just gotten really, really good at it. But that's not to say that there wasn't a point in their life when they were learning how to create possibility and turn it into choice.
I want to talk about what makes this quantum. I'm not a quantum physicist. I don't pretend to know the science, but I've spent a lot of time researching it and talking to people, and have several books that I've dug into. And the first time I read them, I had no idea what I was reading. And I was like, hey, maybe I should read this again. So the thing about quantum vision is, what are you collapsing? It's about who are you deciding to be once you've fulfilled your vision, and allowing your chosen identity to collapse those timelines, to make that choice, to pull that to yourself right now. You don't act your way into belief. You believe your way into aligned action. That action you take based on that belief is what really shows your higher self, the universe, source, God, that you're serious, that no matter what your current circumstances are or what lived experience you have, that you know and you allow yourself this vision. So let's talk about how to begin, how to get started, right? That's what you came here to do. I'm not sure if you came with poster board and pictures. I'm not sure if you came just with an open mind, but I want to just jump from here. So there's no perfect way to do this. If you're totally new to the idea of vision board or setting a vision, I want you to know that while some people need lots of images, lots of words, you only have to start with one image, one word, one of those that will connect you to the feeling of having already achieved whatever it is. So this could be physical. You could have a photo. It could be digital. You could create a digital. A lot of people, I love Notion. A lot of people use Notion or OneNote or Mila Notes. People use Canva. You could create a digital vision board and even use it as the background of your phone. For example, one of the ways I use vision casting is that my background says luckiest girl in the world, and I believe it. So it doesn't have to be physical. It can be digital. It can also be environmental, like your home, the way that we talked about earlier. The only thing that really matters is this one question. Does this remind me and help me align with the version of me who's already achieved it? And does it make me feel that way right now? If it doesn't, when you look at it, you feel any kind of lack or, oh, it's just a wish, there's no way this could happen, it's not right, you need to rethink it. And if your vision is so big that, for example, some people want a supercar, well, maybe your vision for this moment should be to appreciate and take care of the vehicle you already have, and to think about how you're going to pay that off or how you're going to sell it and use that money to buy something new. And it doesn't have to be that. That's just an example. But what can future you, 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, achieve from where you're at now? What feels believable? What feels easy and comfortable to step into? Even if the baby steps to get there are scary, that's okay. Just, we don't want you to create something that feels so far out of alignment that you're not going to be able to believe it and you're not going to be able to align with it. That's not what we do here.
Okay, belief isn't a one and done. It's not something that, one time you practice it and that's it. You're great at it forever. It's one of those things that you just get better and better and better at. Again, like I mentioned before, you get more confident with your decisions and your beliefs become stronger, especially, and this is for those of you out there that are challenged, you were raised in an environment where you're really struggling with, belief, with things that are, you're up against things that are holding you back. Okay, let's put it that way. Just remember that you do not have to choose that framework for yourself at all. Those were things that were taught to you. And you can release them by just making a habit of questioning what's going on in your mind. So the one that I like the most, and I've been using this for 15 years now, I always have a nice bracelet on, but I always have a stretchy bracelet like this one. It can be any stretchy bracelet. This one happens to say everything is possible, and it's from soulopreneur.com. And if you want one, you can send us an email with your address, and we'll send you one, because that's how much we believe. We ask you to pay for the postage, but we'll send you a couple of them. So here's the thing. This is how it works. And there's many versions of this. One you may have heard about is where you snap your wrist. We don't believe in pain, so we don't believe that you have to do that. But basically, it helps you start to get in tune with your thoughts, because your thinking is coming from your feelings. And your feelings are what is actually manifesting things in your life. So by the time you've thought about it, it's already being manifested. So what you want to do is get your thoughts in alignment with what you really want, not what you don't want. We're in the habit of thinking about what we don't want, and that's what will block you. So basically all you do is every time you have a negative thought or something that, a habit that you want to break, something that you no longer want to have as a part of your identity, you just switch wrists like that. I mean, it's so simple. And the first time you do it, maybe for hours, you'll be switching it. I mean, within the first hour, you'll switch it 100 times. I mean, because then you start to realize how negative your thinking is. But here's what happens, what starts to shift, is once you're aware of your negative thinking, we're back to that choice. You can stop yourself mid-thought and ask yourself, what is it I really want? And then change the feeling to the thinking. And this bracelet helps you create that habit. Now, I'm a human being. I'm constantly a work of progress. So I always have the bracelet on because I'm always working on something. And it just becomes part of who I am, this bracelet. But this is the best daily belief hygiene that I've had. And then the other thing, you've heard me talk about it again and again, is gratitude. Every morning when I get up, I take just a few seconds to think of 3 things that I'm truly grateful for, and I feel it. And every night when I go to bed at night, I take a moment to be grateful for 3 things. And I'm telling you, you can, no matter how bad your day is, you can always find 3 things to be truly grateful for.
So once you've picked your photo or your word, or your group of photos and words, or you've painted an image that when you look at it, you know what it means, it's for you, or you've set up a hallway of mirrors, whatever the thing. Now comes the fun part, alignment, or as I like to call it, flow. This is going to show up in the small moments of your everyday life. It's about self-talk, the way that you speak to yourself. You know, when I hear people I love say something like, well, I'm just so stupid, I say, don't talk about my fill in the blank that way. Don't talk about my mom that way. Don't talk about my friend that way. We have the awareness bracelets. There are lots of books on the topic. One of my favorites is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. So self-talk is really important, but that's not where it stops. What you don't change, you're choosing. I'm going to say that again. What I don't change, I'm choosing. Say it with me. What I don't change, I'm choosing. If you choose to tolerate things that pull you away from that energy and that alignment that you're creating, you are not in alignment with your vision. You are choosing to tolerate something that no longer serves you. And I know that it's easier said than done, that there are a lot of hard choices, maybe some ultimatums, maybe some moments of uncomfort when you stop hanging around people, places, or things that are toxic to that embodiment of the feeling that you're aligning with. I've done it. I am not telling you to do something that I wouldn't do. And this is not about cutting people off. This is not about, you know, faking it till you make it, trying to become somebody that you're not. What it's about is allowing yourself to choose people, places, and things that keep you in alignment. And it may be a hard conversation that you have to have with a friend or loved one to say, I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. And then don't. And move into using this precious life that you have, the time that you get to be here, to choose to align yourself with people, places, and things that feel like the vision you're creating. It's totally worth it. It will change the way that you look at life. It will change the way that you value your life. And it will show others that they get to choose to value their life as well. The biggest question for me is, are you going to continue to loop around the same situations over and over, the ones that keep you in that timeline where you're not able to achieve? Or are you going to leap into something that may be a little unknown, but you know validates the vision? So loop or leap. And if you loop long enough, you're looping around that same problem for days and weeks and months and years. Years of looping around again. Or will you leap? Loop or leap. It's that simple. I know that there are some polarizing opinions on AI. However, I'm not going to talk about those right now. What I am going to do is give you a modern tool that will help you to align with your vision. AI does not replace intuition. It never will. It can help you to reflect identity. Here's a prompt you can use in AI right now to help you create that identity that will help you to align energetically with your vision. Act as my future self who has fully achieved my vision. Describe to me in deep detail how that future self thinks, speaks, and moves through a normal day. This is not a crutch, it is a mirror. If you don't like the prompt, what it gives you after you put in the prompt, if that does not feel familiar and aligned and like what you're actually working to achieve, then just ask it to try different. Say, no, I wouldn't do it this way. I would do it this way. Or that doesn't feel like a future version of me that I want. And give me other options. Ask it to give you different versions until you feel like you want to print this out or you want to handwrite it and put it in your journal, or you want to create a vision board or a painting or a wall of your house that really aligns with that and has things on it that remind you of how to tap into that feeling.
Okay, I love this exercise of rewriting, or like I like to say, rewiring your beliefs. And I'm actually going to leave my office here and go over to something that I created using these exact things that Kayla and I are talking to you about. So I want you to choose one belief that right now feels so limiting to you. Okay. And for me, it was the belief that I had to be overwhelmed all the time. That if I was overwhelmed, I was actually achieving and getting stuff done. And that's just so ridiculous. And at some point, I asked myself, is this really how I want to feel? And instead, I started leaning into what I wanted to feel. And I began to create something that was so much more expansive beyond just me, but actually created a place to play and the people to play with. And eventually the clients, the the equipment, the space to just have all kinds of fun and let go of that belief that I had to do it all and that I was constantly overwhelmed. So, what I'm going to do, if the camera will allow me, is I'm going to stand up. All right, it's doing it. And I am going to take you over to the studio. So, in the meantime, while I'm headed that direction, Kayla will pick up something in between. I'll see you over at the studio.
So we've talked about what vision is. We've talked about how to do it right. We've talked about things from mine and Joy's personal lives, our experience, and our backgrounds that really helped us to know that what we're teaching you today is true. To help you center in this knowing, I want to share an activation with you. As we begin, I want to invite you to arrive fully in your body. You don't need to change anything. You don't need to breathe in a special way. Just notice the breath you're already taking. If it feels comfortable, let one hand rest somewhere on your body, your chest, your belly. Let that contact be a reminder that you are here and that you are safe in this moment. Now, take a slow, steady breath in through your nose, not deep, just intentional, and release it gently through your mouth. Again, inhale and exhale. With each exhale, allow your shoulders to soften. Let your jaw unclench. Let the part of you that's been holding everything together rest for a moment. There's nothing to achieve here. This is a moment for receiving. From this grounded place, we'll now move into the activation together. Allow yourself to hear these words without trying to make them true. You don't need to force belief. You're simply allowing your nervous system to experience a new option. Repeat silently or out loud at your own pace after me. I am worthy of ease. I am worthy of expansion. I am worthy of receiving without proving. Notice if any part of your body tightens when you hear that last one. There's nothing wrong if it does. That response is information, not failure. Stay with your breath. Stay with your body. You are not being asked to earn what you desire. You are not being asked to justify it. You are being invited to allow it. Again, silently or to yourself out loud. Repeat after me. I trust myself to hold what I desire. I trust myself to have more. I trust myself to receive without losing myself. Now, bring to mind the version of you who already lives inside the vision you're creating. Not the version on display, not the performative version, the grounded version, the calm version, the version who moves through life with quiet certainty. Notice the posture, the pace, the breath. Allow your body to borrow just a fraction of that feeling now. There's nothing to become. You don't need to become this person. you need to remember that you already are this person. Now again, silently or to yourself, repeat after me. I choose to live as this person now. I choose to meet my life with trust instead of tension. I choose to let myself receive what is ready for me in this moment. I choose trust. I choose to receive. Stay with your breath for just a moment longer. Notice how it feels now. Not better or worse, just different. Take one slow breath in through your nose and release a gentle, steady exhale. Let this breath anchor the state that you're in, not as something you have to hold on to, but as something you can return to. As you gently bring your awareness back to the room, remember this. You did not create a state that you have to leave behind. You are going to bring it with you now. This is the place from which you create vision. Not from striving, not from forcing, not from proving, but from grounded worthiness. In a moment, we'll continue the vision board party. As we do, let your images, your words, and your choices come from this version of you, the one who already has what you know you are allowed to have, the one who trusts everything is possible. When you're ready, gently open your eyes and shift your attention back to this space with me. Welcome back.
Okay, I am headed over to the studio. Don't worry, I'm not going to drive and also record at the same time. But I want to model for you, actually, to have you anchor in what's possible when you believe everything is possible, and how quickly it happens when you have a vision and you just start having fun and leaning into it. And then the next thing you know, you look back and you've created this amazing thing. Follow me. Come on in. I'm going to show you the studio. And this is what happens when you step into and start to dissipate your beliefs. Okay, we haven't been in here for a few days because it's right after the holidays, and it might be a little bit of a mess, so don't judge me, and I won't judge your beliefs, okay? This is our green room, and this is where we have space to get dressed, to put on our makeup, to step into whatever role or whatever program that we're trying to create here in the studio. The reason why I really wanted to show you this is because when we first came here, this was just a concrete warehouse. There were no walls. There was nothing in here. And we, and I mean the royal we, my husband Carl, built all of this. Why? Because we wanted to do a sitcom. We wanted to continue to do some of our programs, but to have accessibility to recording them right here near home so we didn't have to travel. And with just that little bit of feeling and that little bit of vision, this part of the studio came alive, like literally in months. And it wasn't that we planned it this way, it's just that it literally started to come alive. But then what happened was really interesting. We had a church in the space next to us. It was also a concrete space just with a couple walls up. It wasn't finished at all. And we said, you know, to each other in the studio, we, my playmates, my friends, the people who work in the studio with me, as I mentioned before, we said to one another, you know, if the church ever left, it would be really great to take that space and be able to do live streaming with a studio audience. And literally within a matter of, I think it was 2 weeks, I mean, it was such a short amount of time, the space became open and we began to create more spaces. I am showing you the dungeon of the studio. This is our studio space where we store a lot of our not our products, but our food supplies and some of the things. We actually have a food truck, something else that we manifested. And I really believe that this all came about because I started saying, I'm going to give up this belief that I have to be overwhelmed. Bear with me as we go down the dark hallway, that I have to be overwhelmed in order to achieve anything. Let me turn these lights on. Because what happened after that was this. I mean, look at, this is the space between the hallway, and then we also use it for storage sometimes, so you're going to see a baseball pitch back there from my husband practicing his pitching while the weather's cold. But then we were able to create this entire space, look at that, to now have up to 100 people to come in and continue to produce the programs, the products, the playtime, like literally people are renting the space. And it all came about just because we rewired our beliefs. We thought that it had to be one way, but when we started looking at what we wanted, we weren't even thinking about buying a warehouse, which is what I did. I ended up buying this warehouse and turning it into a space that has like expanded our business exponentially, and it allows us to go into so many more directions. It expands other dreams that we've had with Enlightened.tv, our platform. And I hope that you can anchor this in, the idea of what I like to call baby steps. You just take baby steps in the feeling towards what you want. It's all about the feeling. I like to think of it or describe it in this way, that so manifesting is sort of like, it all comes from your feelings. Quantum science has proven this. And basically your thoughts are, if you think of an iceberg, for example, what's beneath the surface of the iceberg, that big chunk of ice that you can't see, right? That big chunk of ice is your emotions, your feelings. And what you say out loud is only what's on the surface of the ocean, the top part of the iceberg. And I use that analogy to help you understand how important your feelings are. Because if you're out there saying, I can't do this, I shouldn't do this, I need to do this, using words that are more obligatory than actual creation of what you want, then that's what you'll create. And one of the reasons why I also like to use this space as an example is because it's true in your house too. I know Kayla describes a process which I think is awesome about how her space is a living vision board. But you know, the truth is, all of our spaces are. Yeah, our outside world is a direct reflection of our inside world. And so everything, like if you don't like your house, change it. Even if you don't have the money to purchase the things that you want, just know that that environment around you, if you feel not great in it, you're actually creating you're manifesting the same thing around it. You want to feel good. You want your space to feel like your identity, who you are. You want the people that you hang out with to be, again, back to your identity, people that you're really proud to be with, that are supportive. You get the opportunity to choose all of these possibilities. And when you choose exactly what you want and stop, and this is very important, stop living on default, then amazing things come in. I never dreamed in a million years that I would own a studio. But here's something really interesting. So my husband and I own the studio together, and he realized that several years before, he was looking back in a journal, and he was drawing out the plan of how he would create a studio if he ever had one. And voila, there it appeared. And that's how it works. You know, when you're making choices, you're actually creating momentum, okay? It's projecting you forward, hopefully. And it's that momentum, even if it's just like baby steps, do something every day towards what you want. But it's that momentum that actually puts you into flow. And you know that when you're in flow, nothing feels pressured, overwhelmed, pushed, that is the state of creation. I remember one time Marilyn and I were at an event. This is one of my business partners. If you don't know Marilyn Harper, she and I are partners in Adirondack and Company. And one time we were at an event, and somebody was remarking to us how amazing our life was. Because we had just realized that we had literally gone to every place on our bucket list without taking one penny out of our checking account, because we did it through work. And so somebody either paid us or we made money as we were taking people around the world. And somebody said to us, you know, you girls are like in the slipstream. And we didn't know what that meant. We didn't know what that meant. In fact, we asked Lee Carroll, who was somebody else, another one of my partners, and we asked him. He's a world-renowned channel, if you don't know, like Marilyn. And we asked him, what did that mean, the slipstream? And he explained to us that the slipstream is when, you know, when you see birds flying and they're in that V formation? And what happens is there'll be like a lead bird, and then eventually one bird will fall, the lead bird will fall back and go all the way to the back, and then the next one will take its place, and it's in perfect flow. You know, there is no like start, stop, or all the birds fall to the ground or anything like that. I mean, it's in perfect flow. And that's called the slipstream. That's when your thoughts, your ideas, the people that you're working with, your tasks, your desires, everything just seems to be going in flow. And it's in that state, I believe, where creativity happens, because then you don't have any blocks. You don't have anything saying, this is too much, I can't do it, I'm overwhelmed. You know, maybe I'm resentful that I have to always do this. I mean, there's all kinds of emotions that will come into that. But being in that slipstream, in that state of flow, is the place of creation. It's the place of manifestation. One more thing I want to say about worthiness. A question that I think everybody should ask themselves is, you know, what is it costing you to postpone your worthiness? You know, life is precious and it's fleeting, and we only get so much time here on the earth. And if we're stuck in unworthiness, what is that costing you?
If you don't want that feeling tonight to fade, this is where I think the Conscious Creators Circle comes in. We've created a space for you through the Conscious Creators Circle where we keep the vision alive together. We do that through ongoing alignment practices, coaching, clarity, and new trainings to help you stretch your mind and realign with your vision. We actually have a live coaching call happening tomorrow, January 21st, and you're invited. Now, the Conscious Creators Circle is a place, a table that creators, influencers, business owners, people who are using their divine purpose to make impact in the world around them, this is the table for you to pull up a seat at. This is the table where you come together with like-minded individuals who already know what you're talking about when you say, I believe business is a spiritual practice. This version of myself already creates content that attracts and magnetizes my ideal clients. And this version of myself creates massive impact through momentum and living in flow. The Conscious Creator Circle is a place that Joy and I created to fill the gap between believing you're meant to do something and doing it. The Conscious Creator Circle is a place that you get to experience your vision in action, and a place where you get to align with people who are living their vision, like the people in the $1 Million Lightworker program, the ones who are creating a movement out of their divine purpose. If you'd like to check it out, I welcome you to check the description below and grab your link and meet us at coaching call tomorrow.
So for those of you who are feeling called to lead at a different level, at a higher level, to make a massive impact with your gifts, especially in the spiritual world, who would like to sit at a mastermind table with other spiritual leaders who have the same desire and are trying to really make a difference in the world, that's where the $1 Million Lightworker program comes in. I don't know if you've heard this or not, but I am on a mission to create 100 $1 Million Lightworkers, and I'm already working with 15 amazing individuals. And this is an invitation. If you're looking to create something that really is going to make a difference in the world, I'm here to tell you that it takes money to do that. It's the only reason why we call it the $1 Million Lightworker, is because if you really want to make a massive impact, that's where you need to play, because that's where the other people who are making a massive impact also play. And that's how you network, and that's how you collaborate, and that's how you get to do all kinds of things. So I'm here to invite you to join us in the $1 Million Lightworker movement. And if you think it's something that you qualify for, you're interested in, you already have a spiritual business, that's key, and you really, really are ready to take it to the next level, we offer in that program collaboration with like-minded businesses, which is one of the fastest ways to grow. And also, we help you get in front of audiences. We get you on stage, podcasts, speaking, and here's the key, with a high ticket offer. Now, I won't go into that much right now, but if it's something that you're interested in, shout out to us, and there will be somewhere here that will let you know how you can sign up for a discovery call and have a conversation with me and see if it's something that is a good fit for both of us. Okay, back in the studio. I think a really good question to ask yourself is, what are you worthy of? They say, I've studied many, many different teachers, and it all comes down to worthiness. You are a creation of your own mind of what you feel you are worthy of. And that's one of the reasons why everyone in their teachings comes back to love yourself. Because when you love yourself, you start to see that, yes, I am worthy of this. And I believe that you are worthy of anything you want, and everything is possible. You can absolutely have anything you want. So again, I want to ask you, what are you worthy of? What do you believe you are worthy? On a scale of 1 to 10, 0 being zero worthiness and 10 being absolutely worthy of anything, where are you on that scale? It's really important to know so that you can start working on your thoughts. You take the bracelet, right? And you start changing those habits of where your ego might be beating you up because of old programming that people long ago gave you. Remember, we said you could reframe it. That worthiness factor is huge. That worthiness factor will show up in your thoughts. So I ask you, you can put it in the chat if you want, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you on the worthiness? And where would you like to be? And what are you willing to do to shift that? Because that's the key. That's the key. If we all live on default by whatever wiring of our habits and programs that we received in our childhood, which is where I think most of the world is, believe it or not. I really do think most of the world is there. If we all live by that, how are we going to change the world? If we as spiritual people aren't the first people to feel worthy, to step into love, to manifest whatever it is, the tools, the things, there's nothing wrong with desire and wanting things, but also, what we would like to have in order to, shift the planet, for example, because that's what it was for me to have a studio. If we were all to understand this process of creation and manifestation, there wouldn't be any war. There would be peace everywhere and love. We would all want each other to be able to live the life that we believe that we deserve. And you do deserve it. You really do deserve it.
As we wrap up tonight, I want to remind you that your vision isn't somewhere outside of you in the future. It's here in this moment. You are creating it. You are being called to live it right now. Just step into it, align with it, and know that you are choosing this path intentionally with every breath you take. Every time you change a I have to an I get to, every little moment of your life can be a small step towards your vision, and that starts now. I would love to know in the comments what you plan to create and how you plan to achieve it. And I'd love for you guys to continue connecting with each other through the Enlightened community. If you've seen or chatted with somebody tonight in the live chat that you want to stay in touch with, message them, follow them, and come back to Enlighten and the social media community and share with us. Keep us in the loop. Let us know how it's going. We are eager to see your vision become reality. And with that, I hope you enjoyed tonight. I hope you were able to glean something from tonight that helps you live more confidently and more aligned as your higher self in this moment. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.